everyone to the second campaign diary that we've done for our Dungeons and Dragons campaign. This one is from game session 18, where our intrepid adventurers finished up the Frozen City. Now, when we left the party, they had just defeated a Houndkeeper, a gnoll, very large, mean and nasty, because he was able to train a group of these hellhounds, and that was where we had faded to black the last session. The party then journeyed through two areas, in through a major plaza, and they found themselves at a Githyanki temple. Now, the plaza was largely cleared by footprints, and they found out what had made the footprints when they got inside. Within the temple, they opened the door, and there was a spectral guardian of the temple. They saw the last swings of what was probably started as a very large battle that ended very badly. A large number of the smaller common demons had attacked this guardian of the temple, and he had gone through them like a combine through wheat. It turns out his name was Azadran. They never really established what he was. Was he ghostly? Was he from another plane? What was his existence was left really unclear. But they talked to him. He can't really... they found out that he was restrained to the temple, effectively, that he couldn't go anywhere because of the infernal infestation of the city, but if the party would clear the city, he would be able to give them boons and help them. So they leave the temple, and they wind up at a small, square, very dark marble, almost a black marble building, and it turned out it was City Hall. They couldn't see City Hall. It's not nearly as tall. They went in, they inspected it. Within that, they found little of interest. I mean, the usual, you had a throne where some kind of leader would sit. There was a marble dais behind and around that throne. They could tell that something had largely been torn out. There was, bits of marble laying around, but they couldn't quite... there wasn't any real evidence to figure out what had done it, things of that nature. So with City Hall checked out, they went next to the Wizard's Tower. And outside the Wizard's Tower, there was sort of a theme that a lot of these big plazas in front of these important buildings had frescoes laid into them. The one in front of City Hall looked like the astral plane. It looked like outer space to us. The one in front of the temple that we mentioned before, that was a single Githyanki deity of some kind. The one in front of the Wizard's Tower looked like an artist's renditioning of what is called the Weave. That is the power of magic that the lines and things like that allows spellcasters to do what they do. When it got to the Wizard's Tower, it was... the tower itself was only maybe 50 feet across with a huge door in it. Once they got to City Hall, they cracked the door. They got inside the Wizard's Tower where they knew things were going on. And once the whole party was inside, they were attacked by a sea of these guys. On the left, they're called dretches, and on the right, they're called mains. Neither one of them are very difficult, but these are the cannon fodder of the Abyss. They are the lowest forms of demons that you will run into. If memory serves right, there was about a dozen dretches. There was probably 24 mains. The party waded through these pretty quickly. You had your archers ripping through a bunch. Those with melee weapons were dropping 2 and 3 in a round. And there was a short, quick combat right inside the temple. Now, what it turned out is these guys were intentionally cannon fodder for Amarylith. That was the demon lord that had come to the temple and had opened the gate. A Marilith is one of the toughest demons to deal with, and I think the visuals can see why. You've got a demon with 6 arms and a tail strike. They are the generals. They are the colonels. They're the battlefield commanders of demons. They love to fight. This was, and to give you some scale, there's a halfling monk for scale, but a Marilith was a very, very hard challenge for the party. You know, she's a demon, so she's immune to things like cold and fire. She makes 7 attacks per round, including a grapple. The part as a combat, she did have strategy. She had goals, but she was not able to achieve them. A Marilith is most dangerous when they get an individual alone, because those are 6 longswords she is carrying. If they catch an individual alone, they will strike with the tail and unwrap, and then hit hard with all 6 sword attacks on one individual. And for most lower level characters, that's usually the ball game. What the party did well was keep multiple characters always engaged. At one point, they had 4 different characters fighting her in hand-to-hand combat. The barbarian, was in hand-to-hand combat. The monk was in hand-to-hand combat. I think one of the clerics got into it. And as you know, but this was one of the more interesting and challenging because she had powers that made her much more difficult than some of the other creatures. She was the first creature that could teleport on the battlefield. The party started moving. She slithered up. She used a teleport to drop herself right into the middle of the combat, and she was able to use 2 attacks on each of 3 different characters to really start disrupting things. Then she made her attacks and teleported back out of harm's way. But it was a really challenging battle. Really, what saved the day is that the 2 rogue archers were able to exploit and use their sneak attacks really, really well. They kept the barbarian and the monk really always managed to stay in close quarters combat with her. And that allowed the rogue archers to defeat her. Once they had successfully defeated the Marilith, it took the party a little bit, but they figured out and managed to destroy the planar gate that had been opened. This environment was strange for the party because they could see and feel the heat from one of the levels of hell. And that allowed them, they were able to close the gate. They closed it on both sides and managed to destroy it. When the Marilith died, they were able to get her heart. They were able to check in with some important quests. They went back to our Githyanki spirit. Were able to report to him that they cleansed the city. He gave them a girdle of fire resistance and armored bracers. They were then able to go through, scour other parts of the city. They found coins and magic. They found a magic mace, if memory serves correctly, and a magic wand. But they were able to finish and clear out and check in with all the quests in the city. They were able to take the demon's heart back to Hargul, and he revealed the location. The place that Nervos calls home is in a isolated volcanic mountain area about 100 leagues. It's about 200 miles northeast of Hargul's lair. And that is where we stopped that time. When our adventure kicks off and continues, the party now knows the location of Nervos's lair. We are to, crib the Russo brothers. We are in the end game. And the big thing is the characters have now leveled up. They will be level 8 moving forward. So we'll have to make sure all the character sheets are updated and all that good stuff is done. And, now we wait for Friday, October 11th.